Chris here from the Blockade Pinball Podcast, and, well, once again, welcome to my very cramped and messy garage, where I have my two fully functional pinball machines that I got for very reasonable prices. The 8-Ball Deluxe here, I picked that up from a friend who was just looking to unload, and the price is ridiculously low that I paid for it. That Target Alpha, that thing I literally traded for. It didn't cost me a dime. So I've been very successful with what my pinball purchases have been, even going back to my very first machine. Oh, firepower. Yes, lovely firepower, even though it's, you know, completely gutted and in a kabillion pieces, as it's been for many, many years. We'll get around to that one day, won't we? But what I want to tell you about today is my newest acquisition, and probably my rarest acquisition now. What we have here is one of only two machines produced for Zen Studios for the Star Wars 40th celebration. A gigantic virtual machine running all the FX2 Star Wars software as it was presented at Star Wars Celebration in a Pinball FX 2 Championship Edition cabinet that is, by all measure, exceedingly large, as you can see compared to firepower right next to it. And I'm not kidding when I say this machine is large. It's a 47-inch 1080p monitor on the bottom here. The backglass is a 31-inch 1080p monitor, and then it's got a DMD screen that is also a monitor. It measures 15 and a half inches across. I don't know yet if that's a full-size monitor, you know, hidden beneath, or if it's a custom-shaped, but pretty dang cool, I gotta say. The other factor, though, is how large it actually is, because it's 7.5 feet tall with that topper on there. Yeah, ginormous. It also weighs an absolute ton, as from what I can tell, the entire cabinet is made out of MDF, which is not lightweight at all. So it's built like a tank. It's beefy. Something I did drag out here into the garage, which it normally doesn't live in, but to show just a little bit of a comparison of size, now that I've got these virtual machine and an actual pinball machine out here. The X-Arcade Arcade 2XR controller deck with the pinball haptic kit on it, on its stand. As you can see here, it is actually the same width as the pinball machine. It is the same height as the pinball machine. It's just significantly smaller than the pinball machine. So if you want to get one of these for yourself, go ahead and click the link down below. That'll help the show out, actually. Right now, they're running package deals where you get both the stand, the controller deck, and the pinball haptic kit all together at a discounted price. So act now, click that affiliate link, help us out. And don't worry about the space, because this fits rather nicely in a relatively small space in your house. Some of the other aspects that make this machine fairly interesting is the whole thing is touchscreen, which is rather nice for navigation purposes. It's got this special bar going all the way around that is basically reading your hand where it goes. However, you can also navigate with the flipper buttons. Oh, that started the game. But yeah, these flipper buttons, which we have two of them. So the top button is your flipper, and that yellow one wound up being a select button for doing that. We do have an actual plunger, which you can see here. Does work with the machine. Boing. And yes, there are haptics. Sorry, I can't play with one hand. Coin door is a fake coin door. Does have a launch button also right there. And then I just want to give you a look at that DMD screen right there. And then also interesting is the back glass. The entire time will show you various angles of the action that is going on there, so your audience would be able to see things somewhat. Not that it coincides exactly with where the ball is, but just kind of showing off. So this machine was definitely made for demonstration purposes there at Star Wars Celebration. Now, the fun thing about this machine is there's very little that I can tell you about it at the moment. I looked desperately to try and find out any information about the Pinball FX 2 Championship Edition cabinets and came up with next to nothing. I know that they were produced for a little while. That, you know, everyday users were able to purchase. This one, of course, is wrapped specially for Zen and the Star Wars Celebration. The computer that's in there, I was able to take a crack and look at that, you know, on the specs of it, which is not a good quality. I think it's a single core Intel i5 with a 1060 graphic card running on it. It's only got 2 gigs of RAM, and it has crashed on me multiple times just in testing it out. But I can't tell you much more beyond that because I don't have the keys to get into this machine, so I'm going to have to pick these locks and get in there and actually do more and look at it. So look forward to that in an upcoming video as I take a look at that. And then we'll see what we want to actually be able to upgrade this thing to. Like I said, haptic-wise, it does have the solenoids for the flippers, but as far as I can tell, it does not have a solenoid, or not a solenoid, a accelerometer for nudging purposes, nor do the button let you nudge. So I don't know if that's just a feature that's not turned on right now, or if it even exists. What else can I tell you about the machine? Well, I guess I could tell you a little bit of a story about how I even got this. So here's the history on this machine and how it winds up in my possession. Back in, I want to say it was going to be, well, it's going to be for the 40th celebration, Star Wars Celebration. Zen had a booth at the celebration that they were going to be at, presenting the Star Wars pinball games. And you got to remember, this is back when FX2 was the game that Zen was making. Unfortunately, that was going to be 2019, pandemic year. So that got delayed until the celebration could be handled, I believe, in 2022. At which point, Zen was now into FX3, but you know, they were still going to make their presentation. And I have a feeling this cabinet was made before that time. These cabinets, the Pinball FX 2 Championship Edition cabinets, they were starting to be sold, I believe, in 2017, maybe 2018. Again, it's really hard for me to get a history on that, as the website for Pinball Factory, who is the one that's made these cabinets, is pretty much defunct and doesn't have any content on it. So anyway, 2 machines were made for this event. One of them is the one that is right here beside me. The other one, according to Mel, currently resides in Georgia, and that would be the one that had the full LED panels going around the cabinet that was kind of like what you would find in a Dave & Buster's. It was the showstopper, grab you kind of thing. Considering the size of this machine, I can only imagine how large that thing was to handle the extra size of the cabinet that was used for that. Anyway, after the event, this is basically Lucasfilm's property, right? This is part of their, for their purposes, for their demonstration, and so that's exactly what happened. This machine, it went to Lucasfilm in San Francisco, where it then sat, and sat, and sat, and then this past year, Lucasfilm called up Mel and said, yeah, we don't want this machine in here anymore. It's just taking up space. Get it off our hands. And so Mel didn't know what to do with it. He wasn't going to have it in his house, and so he reached out to us, because with the blockade, we've got a good relationship with them, and Mel knows that I live in Southern California, so it wouldn't be too far to ship this down. And so that's exactly it. He said, hey, do you want this machine? Problems and all? I went, yeah, why wouldn't I? And thus began quite a while of a wait for it to arrive to me, just because of circumstances, arranging shipping and just plain Mel's time of being able to do any of that. But to say the least, here it is now. It's in my possession. And now it's up to me to determine what it is that I am planning on doing with it. Because it's got, like I said, it's got some issues. Speakers crackle. It's running Windows 10 on a old computer, like I said. So it's a question of what upgrades can I even do to that computer based on the fact that got a 47-inch 1080p monitor. I'm not going to be swapping the monitor out. So how much of an upgrade do I even need to do to be able to run not just FX2? I definitely will want it to be running Pinball FX, Pinball M, and potentially we'll maybe go the route of doing some VPX. We'll have to see if I want to put it on this cabinet or not. Some of the interesting things also about this cabinet, the screen is capable of 3D. And when I start up a game, a little indicator flashes of put on your 3D glasses. They're passive glasses. I actually own those. I put them on, nothing happened. So I don't know if that's something that I have to tinker around with in the software, because the software is very much custom to this. And I'll show you that eventually. But if you're familiar with the At Games presentation that Zen has put in, it's that kind of cabinet view, as opposed to if you're doing your own cabinet view through Pinball FX, where there's kind of some keystoning at the edges and top. Anywho, that's how I wound up with this thing. And it's a question of now, where am I going to put it? Because it is so much larger than I ever thought. It might just wind up living out here in the garage, as much as I don't want a computer kind of thing to do. But that's probably the only place I have space for it. So, that's it. That's how I came into being the owner of a one of only 2 pinball machines that was made specifically for Zen, and with Star Wars software and the whole Star Wars skin that's upon it. Further videos? Well, once I get the keys to this, we're going to actually crack open, and I'll show you how this cabinet was made, what its components are built like. Again, Pinball Factory, they no longer exist, so you can't even buy this. But it's mine now. All right, thanks for watching.